The learning objectives here are: by the end of this module, you will be able to understand the HR basic concepts, describe HR role and contribution in organization success, define the HR functions, outline the virtual HR activities, state the challenges facing HR. The modular objectives are human resources concepts and principles, human resources management versus personnel management, human resources and motivation theories, human resources as a management function. Human resources, it's all about people. So, in any organization, we need to make sure that we understand some principles regarding the human resources. First, recruit to retirement, which means that we take care of our employees starting from day one that they are hired up to the last day they get into retirements. Of course, there are several cases of resignation, dismissal, but the thing is, we need to take care of our employees from the first day of their hiring till the last day of their employment. Second principle is, we have to take care of the people that they work behind the machine. Most of the companies take good care about the assets, which means the machines, the fixed assets. But actually, people are also an asset. So we need to make sure that the people working are happy, satisfied, and well compensated. When we hire attitude, because attitudes cannot be changed, while skills can be acquired. So when attitude versus skill, we focus on attitude. Attitude versus intelligence, we also focus on attitude. It's very important to hire people with positive attitude. This will help a lot to ease things and make the performance better and make a healthy working condition. Human resources and motivation theories. There are some motivation theories that helps the human resources employees to understand how to motivate the employees. The first theory is Maslow hierarchy of needs. Maslow hierarchy of needs mainly is about having several levels of needs that needs to be satisfied. It's demonstrated in a pyramid shape. First level of needs is the physiological needs, which is the basic needs that everyone needs to live. Second level is the safety needs for security and safety. Third level is the belongingness and love needs. We need relationships and friends. The following level is the esteem needs, which is the prestige and feeling of accomplishment. And the last level is the self-actualization, which is the achievement of full potential, including creative activities. Second motivation theory is Herzberg two-factor theory. It is mainly about the job dissatisfaction and the job satisfaction factors. The job dissatisfaction factors, like if the working conditions, co-worker relations, policies and rules, supervisor quality, and base wage salary decrease, if all these factors are less, the dissatisfaction is higher. While if the achievement level, recognition level, responsibility, and the work itself, the advancement and the personal growth is higher, then the job satisfaction is higher. Another theory of needs, which is McClelland, it's mainly about the needs for affiliation and achievement and power. It's about that each person has need for affiliation and need for achievement and need for having power. Vroom theory of expectancy. Each employee is expecting to make an effort. The effort will result into a performance, and the performance should be rewarded. McGregor theory X and Y. This mainly about the different attitudes, direction, responsibility, motivation, and creativity. Theory X assumes that we don't like work, we don't want to make any duty or responsibility, we hate duties and responsibilities, we don't want to exert an effort. Theory Y is the total opposite. People need to work, they are encouraged by recognition, If they are working in the right condition, they will be motivated and their performance will be higher and they will be more creative creatures. Human resources as a strategic partner, it's totally different than human resources as a support function. The main difference is how far my HR practices, strategies, and activities are planned for. Is it for a long time or just day to day? Human resources as a support function mainly plays the role of supporting all the organization departments, day-to-day work, any activity, but it's all within a short-term frame. When human resources play the role of a strategic partner, it's totally different. It's linked directly with the organization strategy. The HR is a partner in any strategic decision that the organization might take. He's sitting on the same table with the decision makers. The new concepts of human resources encourage the strategic partnership approach. Modular objectives. Human resources as a strategic partner, human resources as a support function. Human resources as a strategic partner. In order for the human resources to become a strategic partner, the organization needs to develop its talents through rotation. The HR needs to use teams with specialized expertise, and they need to have leaders located in business units. And it needs to involve the line management in HR decisions. The theoretical framework for the HR as a strategic partner includes involvement of the employees, the strong mindset of the employees, high level of competency demonstration, role balance, and effective communication. HR as a support function. One of the main functions of HR is to support workplace safety, training, and maintain the mandated logs for workplace injury and fatality reporting. In addition, HR safety and risk specialists often work together closely with HR benefits specialists to manage the company's workers' compensation issues. The framework of HR as a support function will include training and development, labor law compliance, compensation and benefits, employer-employee relations. In the upcoming case study, Miss Laura is an HR director in XYZ company. She's playing a certain role to change the HR to become a strategic partner. Read the case and list what does Miss Laura have to do to change the role of HR into a strategic one. Hire slow, fire fast. When you hire, take your time to select the right candidate. When you fire, do it fast to minimize the damage. Encourage simplicity. Shed complexity. Simplicity will always make it better to reach the result. HR practitioner, they are the king and queens makers. They know how to identify the talents and encourage them to excel. To serve is to lead and live. The more you serve the employees, the more you encourage them for a better performance. Recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection is one of the most important functions in the HR. It's mainly about selecting the right candidate to do the job. Recruitment and selection involves posting ads for the jobs, whether internal or external ads, and then you receive CVs, screen it, filter it, and prepare the short list in order to conduct an interview and select the right candidates. Recruitment and selections depends mainly on having a pool of candidates, and you have to have the right duties and responsibilities clearly so you can make the right match. Organization development, mainly in the HR, involves changes and improvement of the processes and structures that are part of HR responsibility. They include the processes and systems related to performance management, talent management, diversity, and employee wellness. It is a continuous and integrated process that aims to increase the skills and competencies of employees, improve production technology and management styles, forms of organizational communication and public relation in order to increase the institution's ability to keep pace with the development of competitors and respond to the change in the tastes of managers. Organization development, mainly in the HR, involves changes and improvement of the processes and structures that are part of HR responsibility. They include the processes and systems related to performance management, talent management, diversity, and employee wellness. It is a continuous and integrated process that aims to increase the skills and competencies of employees, improve production technology and management styles, forms of organizational communication and public relation in order to increase the institution's ability to keep pace with the development of competitors and respond to the change in the tastes of managers. Compensation and benefits. Compensation management is overseeing the process of providing pay or other benefits to employees for doing a job. The objective is to use compensation in order to recruit and retain the highest quality employees. Compensation helps motivate employees to work hard and promotes a positive morale. There are two forms of compensation and benefits: direct, which includes hourly wage, salary wage, commission, bonuses. Compensation and benefits indirect are non-monetary benefits provided to workers such as pension funds, mobile phones, company cars, health and life insurance, overtime pay, and annual leaves. Performance management is a very important function in the HR. Performance management mainly is about how to manage the performance of the employees. This is the new trend of encouraging employees to perform better. We manage their performance. How do we manage their performance? Through measuring their performance, having certain objectives, having what we call key performance indicators that measures the gap between the expected performance and the actual performance. The less this gap, the better the performance management is. Based on the performance management, the employees can be developed and trained and being coached and mentored. The main objective of the performance management is to make sure that all the employees are aligned with their objectives and they perform with the best quality possible. Employee relations. Employee relations is one of the recent functions in the HR. The employee relations mainly is concerned with the relation between the employer or the management and the employee. They need to make sure that there are no disputes, all decisions are clear, if there any problem should be resolved, and every employee knows what are his duties or responsibilities. Employee relations mainly entitled to clarify that every decision that management takes is clearly explained. Employee relations is mainly concerned with having positive morale among employees and healthy working environment. Labor law. In any function, there are some regularities, laws, and rules that we have to comply with. Labor law is the law entitled to regulate the relation between the employer and the employee. Labor law includes all the articles and the rules and regulations that both the employer and the employee should follow to maintain a legal relationship within the context and the framework of any organization. Labor law also regulates the relation between the employer and the employee and the government authorities. Labor law has a lot of articles, amendments, and modifications. And it's not a static law, it's always changing if it's needed. The importance of ERP systems. The ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning, is integrated business software applications, often called modules, that allow companies to track and manage huge amount of data regarding the employees, and they also automate some business functions, including the HR. ERP, or the Enterprise Resource Planning, is an integrated business software applications, often called modules. They allow companies to track and manage huge amount of data for several departments in the organizations, including the HR. The ERP for HR is the data stored in a central location and brought together also to a central location. They enable the HR to store, retrieve, and share huge amount of data for the employees, tracking their history from the first day of employment until the last day of employment. Benefits of HR module for ERP. The HR modules in the ERP usually makes it more automated for managers to retrieve the data. It frees up the management and makes their time more free because there is a system that contains all the data. At the same time, it allows saving time for more important tasks. In addition, it allows sharing the data and information among several stakeholders. And it gives a clearer picture about all the HR activities. We can retrieve the information about an employee starting his first day of employment up to date. Having an ERP system will reduce the licensing expenses. Instead of having more than 5 systems in the HR, we only have one system that would save a lot of licensing expenses. At the same time, the data is always updated. There is no lag in the data. There's no outdated data. So the HR modules on ERP is always providing the management with a good base to take decisions based on updating information. HR now is different with the social media platforms than before. HR needs to utilize the social media platform advantages in order to practice some HR activities efficiently. Social media platforms have been very useful for HR, such as talent acquisition. We can easily reach a pool of candidates from different social media platforms. We can post ads on different social media platforms, so we can reach as much as we can from candidates. At the same time, we can check any candidate who is nominated to occupy a certain position. We can check the background, can check the referrals, can check the history if we check the social media platforms such as LinkedIn. Example of the useful social media platforms is the LinkedIn. The LinkedIn provides comprehensive information about the connections of any candidate, the history, the duties and responsibility, and a brief about the career path. Also, we can utilize the social media platforms in enforcing and supporting and promoting for our corporate culture and values. This will help our employees understand a lot about what's going on in our company. At the same time, retain our employees and encourage new caliber to join. Creating a positive image on the social media platforms about the organization will help the organization attract calibers. There's a new trend which is working from home. HR can work from home. HR practitioner can work from home. There are some companies that assign some employees either to entirely or partially work from home. In order to do this, we need to give them some advices. First thing, build trust. The manager and the employees in the HR, they need to have mutual trust. Manager should trust employees that they are doing the job they're assigned to, even if they are not in the same workplace. Employees need to trust the manager that whatever they are assigned with should be done. Improving communication is very important because through effective communication, the work can be done, whether in the same workplace or not. Working from home will depend mainly on effective communication. when we are working from home, it's better to hire the people who can work from home. This will make us focus more on the capabilities of the employees that can work from home. Also, remember the benefits of working from home. It minimizes the cost, flexible working hours, and excellent deliverables. There are challenges that have direct impact on the HR activities, such as the compliance with the laws, rules, and regulations. Usually, HR activities requires to comply with any laws that the government issues, and at the same time, any rules and regulations that the company will set. The impact on this, sometimes HR activities needs to comply and execute different practices that might not be appreciated or understood. But at the same time, the compliance with the laws and rules and regulations is very important, because if not, then it is subjected to legal claims. HR activities comply with the labor law and the amendments, modifications, and all the articles mentioned in. Management changes also is a big challenge. Once we change the management, there might be change in the decisions, in the policy, sometimes the strategy. Also, when the management change, it might include change in the vision and the mission. This is all reflected on the HR activities, because at the end, HR is responsible for explaining whatever change in the management and explain it and clarify it to the employees. Leadership concepts have been developed in the last years. Accordingly, the leadership now is very important in any organization, and HR activities are linked directly with the leadership development. HR needs to develop their managers to become leaders. HR needs to find the leaders. HR needs the employees to help finding the leadership inside them. This is affecting the pay. We pay more for the people who can be leaders. We hire the leaders. So it is a direct impact. Learning and development. The learning and development as one of the HR activities have been developed a lot recently. Throughout the years, people used to learn and develop their skills through practice. Nowadays, the learning and development and training have entered as main players in the development of the employees and maintain the sustainability and success of any organization. One of the challenges that the HR faces is the adapt to the technology. The rapid change in technology and the development in whatever is related to technology has a direct impact on the HR activities, whether in applying it on the HR activities or attracting employees and calibers who has the ability to adapt to technology. Adapt to technology have been a very continuous, non-stop, dynamic change that has direct impact on the HR. Another challenges that the HR faces is the change in the packages and the compensation. Changes in compensation and benefits have been one of the challenges that the HR is facing. With the change in the cost of living and the expectations, and people are looking up to live a better life, the new lifestyle, the quality of life, have put a lot of pressure on the HR to find out and come out with alternatives in the packages. And since this is an ongoing process, so the HR has always to come up with new items in the packages that would fulfill the employees' expectations. Challenge that faces the HR also is attracting talented employees. And in order to attract talented employees, they need to be very selective. Criteria of selection has to be very precise. Developing the talents, retaining the talents is very important. We all aim to maintain a high level of performance. So talents are required, whether to attract them or retain them. And this includes that all the HR activities mainly are guided towards providing a healthy working environment that encourage talents to stay in the organization. Work diversity as well is one of the challenges that HR is facing, because you cannot find two identical employees having the same education background, yet they perform in a different way. The work diversity is very important, and when we speak about diversity, we speak about diversity in gender, age, education, social background, economic background, competencies, skills, knowledge, whatever. Managing the work diversity, and the more this diversity increases, is putting a lot of pressure on the HR activities to maintain.